I'm Andrew Hamilton here for Hardwired. I'm joined today by Brady Taylor, our chief meteorologist here at KWTX. Video games have not been particularly part of your normal day-to-day, but I'm going to make them part of it.
Yeah, I'm going to say, if you would have went on the list of people I thought you'd invite to come on Hardwired, I was way down here. My son is the gaming expert at our house, but I guess when it comes to weather, I'll hopefully know a few things.
At least you're semi-familiar with part of it, the weather portion. So today we're going to be going through and having Brady take a look at some of the weather events that take place in the dynamic weather systems that are in many of modern games. A lot of them claim to have very accurate weather simulation. We're going to kind of put that to a test by letting a meteorologist actually take a look at it.
Well, first thing I can tell you is it's a little better than the graphics of Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers and stuff like that, which I don't know if there was clouds in much of that stuff. But I mean, the one thing I can tell you here, one, the graphics are amazing, but the cool thing is the lighting in the clouds with all this, where you see, you know, the dark shade underneath and the sun peeking in between and stuff like that. That's impressive. I mean, very, very lifelike looking from what I can tell, you know, looking at all this. And, you know, and then, like I said, the setting sun causing the light shifts. But yeah, I mean, that looks like very realistic from everything I can tell. And then you can tell this is kind of an evening shade where you can see the different red shades and the clouds having different hues to them. Yeah, that's some impressive looking detail that they've got in this for sure. All right, so now we got a little wind that we got going on here. More of a, can't really see the clouds here, but that's kind of cool too, where it's not just, you know, where the sun plays a little factor there where you can see it sometimes, can't see it other times. But then, yeah, then you got the wind factor coming in. Let's see what we're going to see peeking through here. Yeah, and then you got the, you know, little leaves blowing with the wind as well. And yeah, I mean, overall, I would say this is looking pretty cool. And yeah, definitely very realistic looking clouds and seem to be acting the way that they should in your normal kind of, I mean, much better than I would expect in most video games, for sure. So we're taking a look at Ghost of Tsushima here. Hopefully I pronounced that right, Andrew. I mean, one thing I can tell you as a weatherman is don't go riding your horse in a lightning storm like this. That's probably the first thing that you want to know. It's interesting how quickly everything's letting loose, all the leaves and everything, because the wind doesn't look like it's blowing that hard, and there's a whole bunch of stuff flying around. Clouds don't have quite as much detail on this one as the other game, but I guess that's the more awkward thing, is everything flying around kind of in the foreground here, but still very impressive looking graphics overall with it. But yeah, I mean, lightning kind of looks a little cartoonish compared to the clouds as well. Like overall, on this one looks a little more cartoony than the other game that we were looking at. But
does the weather simulation feel up to par for what a storm would feel like?
Yeah, overall, I mean, it does look like it kind of looks like the winds are just kind of there to be there kind of thing. It doesn't look like, you know, like it would in a kind of a normal, which we're switching now to where it's more sunset, and I think this game just likes to have stuff blowing around. It looks like, because it looks like a breezy kind of sunset view here. These clouds look pretty impressive off in the background, that kind of pretty sunset style clouds. But I mean, overall, I mean, the game does pick up. I mean, you can see the grass blowing in the wind and the leaves, but I mean, overall, to get leaves blowing around like this, the guy would probably have a hard time standing up in that style wind. That's one thing. I mean, his little cape and bandana's blowing around, but his hair is not moving at all. He wears really good hairspray for a samurai, or what, I don't know if is he a samurai? Is he a samurai? Okay, yeah. So, but yeah, I think if you were going to deal with this style of wind blowing these kind of leaves around, it wouldn't be quite as easy walking through. But overall, I think it's done pretty good picking up on the grass and stuff moving around along with the leaves blowing, but maybe not quite as accurate as the other game. Year 2043. Oh no, Android. I think that's 21 years from now. I think longer than that. All right, so we've got Android. 7-day vortex forecast. Hopefully I never have to forecast anything like that. Oh man, we need one of these to replace one of our weather vehicles. That'd be chasing right there. Uh-oh, vortex warning. That goes, you go severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, vortex warning. If you didn't know that, that's the official way we track all this in meteorology. What's coming out? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's worse than raining cats and dogs, I think. It's raining like velociraptors? Okay, yeah, that's a different type of forecast for sure. I don't think that weather, hopefully, is not realistic. So we're doing Legends of Zelda. Now this is one game that I actually have played, but it was on my Game Boy when I was much younger and slightly different graphics than this. So, all right, so we're in looks like a thunderstorm with a volcano in the background. So, yeah, I mean, looks like a mean thunderstorm too. It's pretty cool. I mean, you know, like I said, Zelda's typically more cartoony, but I mean, still got really cool with the different layers of the rain. You can see the cloud movement in the background as well. And I saw a little bit of lightning there off and on. I mean, looks like a mean, nasty thunderstorm for sure blowing through. But actually, I mean, if you were standing underneath well, that's pretty realistic looking lightning too. If you were standing under a big thunderstorm, that pretty much kind of what it would look like. It's hard to see a lot of features when it comes to the clouds and get all that rain and wind blowing around. But yeah, I mean, heck, compared to, like I said, I don't think my Game Boy game had quite this good of clouds and rain when I played it eons ago. Yeah, even, I mean, you got a little bit of shifting of the trees and stuff with the wind blowing that kind of picks up with the wind blowing and everything like that. Yeah, I would not want to be Zelda walking around in this thunderstorm. Nasty looking weather for sure. All right, so Battlefield 2042. All right, so let's, cloudy, stormy looking kind of setup. All right, so we got a tornado in the middle here. So it'll be interesting to see. This one's probably going to have a little more issues with. I would not be out shooting and stuff like that during a tornado. Probably not the best. I was trying to see if this guy's running away from the tornado, so it's hard to see it. All right, so this is probably the biggest, this is the biggest weather faux pas that we've had of any of the video games. So this tornado is spinning clockwise. If you see, it's kind of turning like this. Tornadoes typically turn counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. So depending on where this video game was made, it would be accurate or not accurate, or where you're officially saying you're playing. So, but yes, so that if you look for what we would typically see in a tornado here, it's hard to tell, but the way it's turning across the screen, it's actually turning to the right or clockwise. Wind-wise, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't want to be right up. I mean, the odds of this guy running around, one, and the other thing is it's staying rather stationary too. Tornadoes are going to be moving because they're connected to a tornado or to a thunderstorm. But you know, seeing lightning, seeing strong winds and stuff like that is all what you expect with a tornado. I would not be advising running this close to a tornado. Odds are this guy would have already got knocked unconscious by something flying around, all the tree limbs, rocks, stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, the biggest faux pas is, again, depending on where this game was developed, it is what we would call a anticyclonic tornado, which are a possibility. You can see that every once in a while, but odds of seeing this big of a strong storm like this, it would likely be spinning the other way. And I would not advise that. Did he just get picked up by the tornado? Okay, yeah, that would not be, oh, they're all picked up, a whole bunch of people. Yeah, so this is storm chasing gone crazy and not advised. And if you're not going to get killed by the bullets flying around, you probably would have got killed by the tornado already. So interesting. All right, so we go from thunderstorms to snowstorms. I mean, overall, I think looks pretty good. The snowflakes are a little kind of, or they're just big. But I mean, you can get snow where it's big, kind of what we call kind of the big, fat, heavy snowflakes in some of these. Probably your visibility wouldn't be as good if it was snowing down as heavy as what it is with this, but you also wouldn't want to play a video game if you can't see where you're walking on half of it. But I mean, overall, I think this looks pretty good. You also got a little sunshine off there in the distance that it may not be, but if you had the storm over you and it was moving out, you know, it's not a big faux pas or anything like that. But I mean, like I said, you can get different style of. We don't see a lot of these big snowflakes here in Central Texas. We get kind of the smaller, nastier snow a lot. But I mean, it's something that, and it, you know, picked up on some of the accumulation and stuff like that. It'd be interesting as it walked more in the sun how much, kind of see where it's decreasing the amount of snow too, and that's pretty cool as well. So it's kind of picking up where the snow is and where it's not falling, and man, that's impressive to me. It's just the walking through the snow, how well it picks up on the impacts that would have as well. So yeah, this done a really good job, and you kind of see the snow getting blown off of parts of the mountain as well. And you know, like I said, as he's moving, they're moving towards the clearer conditions to get a little less snow. So yeah, this game does pretty good. And the clouds look pretty impressive as well, that are showing up on this one. Okay, so we're gonna fly through Hurricane Laura, which was a major hurricane that affected Louisiana. Now, I wouldn't advise flying through a hurricane, but they're actually, the hurricane hunters are a group with NOAA and the National Hurricane Center that fly through the storms and actually help us meteorologists dramatically in getting data from inside of these storms. So it'll be kind of cool to see how well this looks compared to the videos that we get from those hurricane hunters that are out there. I mean, it's pretty impressive graphics here on this thing. It's probably a big enough plane. I mean, one, you would not want to be flying through a hurricane, but it's a decent sized plane that probably could withstand. Where it's at now in the hurricane, I think overall, like I said, you're going to see the kind of scattered clouds. These would be circulating around the outside of the hurricane. Probably starts feeling a little bit of turbulence, but nothing probably more than what the plane's showing along the outside of it. Let's see, is it? Yeah, and you kind of see as it's starting to get a little closer into what looks to be kind of closer to the eye wall off in the distance. The storm kind of building up a little bit more. I mean, overall, pretty impressive looking for what you would think kind of scattered around the outsides of a hurricane. Pretty impressive look to it. But yeah, usually these aren't as tall as most thunderstorms that you see. So a lot of times these planes should be able to fly right over the top of a lot of these clouds that are on the outer edges of a hurricane like this. Now, as you get into the eye wall, that's when it's going to start getting a lot more intense, and when we should be, and then inside of the eye wall, that's when you really kind of get the real dramatic view. All right, so we're starting to get a little closer, looks like, and starting to get these taller clouds. Should start as they get closer into the eye, you should start running into more turbulence. That's when you're starting to see the peak winds from this storm and really start flying more through clouds instead of over the top of the clouds, depending on the exact height that they're flying at. But looks like they're attempting to be hurricane hunters and flying right through the center of this storm. So, I mean, all these games have impressed me with the looks of the clouds, but this is about as realistic for computer simulation as you're probably going to get for somebody that probably wouldn't want to fly through one. This is probably give you a good representation of what you would look at. I'm interested. All right, so it's going through some clouds here. It's hard to tell exactly where in the hurricane it is. I can't tell if it just acted like it went through the high wall. Typically, you'll see on a big hurricane like this, nearly kind of a stadium effect inside of the eye wall as you get into the actual eye of the storm. So that's something I was hoping to be able to see. But there still looks like they're actually getting closer to the eye wall the way that it's. But yeah, you'd go through a lot of kind of bands of thunderstorm activity and this increased storm activity. And overall, I mean, it looks pretty impressive from what I can tell on it. Let's see if it. All right, so now it looks like they're. Oh, okay. Now we're getting into the real meat of it. You can see no visibility at all. If everything's looking right, this is going through the eye wall. You can kind of see the plane bouncing around, running into what would be some extreme turbulence. You're talking, extreme winds at this point. Again, likely category 4 hurricane when this simulation was going through that they were flying through. So it should make it through what now is the worst part, and then it should go through a real big clearing. And let's watch. So this is the view from the inside the plane. So it should go from nearly no visibility to just boom, opens up to nearly clear sky. So here's some of that clearing there that you can see now that it's worked into the eye of the hurricane. Now it looks like they're flying kind of right around the edge of the eye. I never really got, like I said, it's hard to tell. So what I can, Andrew, what it looks like they're flying around inside, so they never really came out of the eye on this. Now, it does look, I mean, overall impressive. I wish they would have flown through the eye where I could have seen it a little better, but I mean, it's impressive, and you can see the turbulence they dealt with, and the clouds look impressive on it. And overall, for a simulation, I think looks like they did a pretty impressive job on showing the overall setup of kind of what it would look like going through a hurricane.
Hey, thanks, Brady, for joining us today. It's been pretty cool to hear about some of the more scientific implications here that these games are going through. I know for all the hard work they put into these games, I'm sure that it's going to mean a lot to some of these developers that they hear a official meteorologist say, hey, that's cool.
Yeah, I was impressed by all of them. I mean, to take that much time and thought into the little things that weather can have an impact on was very impressive.
I'm a big fan of weather simulation in the games just because it's always cool to hear. It's like the Horizon Forbidden West game that with the snow and stuff, that snow actually like melts off of her clothes and stuff, and in the heat she'll talk about, you know, like how hot it is and stuff, and
that's pretty cool.
You can actually see her like starting to like work up a sweat and stuff, and there's a lot of like really cool subtle details, and a lot of that comes from this weather simulation. So it's cool to see that it's pretty accurate to what real life has.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Minus you know, some cartoony stuff here.
Yeah, you know, jumping into a tornado and stuff like that.
That's just for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my Saturdays.
Yeah, just do it in a video game, not in real life.
Right. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Happy to have Brady on, and hopefully we'll be able to convince more of the people from KWTX here to join us. But for Hardwired, I'm Andrew Hamilton. This has been Brady Taylor, and we'll catch you next time.